Hello and welcome to American Hydroponics monthly webinar. This month we're talking about Ask the Experts. From time to time we get questions into the office. A lot of different farmers and prospective farmers want to know different things about hydroponic farming. And so we answer the questions as we can, but we thought we'd dedicate a whole webinar to answering many of the questions that have come in. So today we've got 4 of our growing experts that represents over 100 years of growing experience for American Hydroponics. We don't just sell the products, we don't just manage the products, but we are growers as well. We have got with us today, we've got Jenny Harris, and Jenny is here. We have got Rudy Clark-Luera, and we have got Lorelei Walker. And then patched in from our East Coast headquarters, we've got Joe Swartz. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, everyone.
There he is. All right. So without further ado, then why don't we get down to it? And we've got a question for Joe. Question for you. This question comes in: what is the best hydroponic system to grow leafy greens?
Well, leafy greens requires good air movement and good root oxygenation, and with that, an NFT hydroponic system is really the best way to go. There's a number of different systems available. NFT, hands down, has the highest performance and consistency.
All right, thank you, Joe. Let's move on. Jenny, can you grow? Somebody wants to know the difference basically between a vertical system and the horizontal system that American Hydroponics grows. Can you fit more leafy greens, more vegetables in the vertical systems? It seems like you could.
Yeah, so this is a pretty hot topic right now, and Joe and I and several of us just came back from a big trade show down in Las Vegas where this was a pretty hot topic down there. There's a lot of container farms out there right now, and those container farms grow vertical. And there's 2 ways. When you think of growing vertical, you think of either growing in a tower that's up and down like this, that's actually vertical, or you can think of horizontal, just multiple layers of them. So we're going to talk about the difference between growing horizontal in channels and growing like what you see right here in an NFT. So one would think that you could grow more horizontally, right? Because you're stacking all the plants up. But that's not actually true. We can actually fit more and produce more on a weekly basis than the typical horizontal or the typical vertical towers that you see. And for more information, and if you want some real detailed numbers to do some of your own calculations, on our blog right now, if you go to that, there's a whole article that's written with a chart that shows you exactly how many plants can be grown both ways. So go to our blog on our website. It's the most recent blog post just this week. And then if you read down about 3/4 of the way through, you'll see the chart that I'm talking about. But it's a pretty interesting article.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. So horizontal is the way to go if you want to produce and make money. Very good. Lorelei, we've got a question. Somebody says, can you build your own hydroponic system? If so, where would you get the parts?
Yeah, you can absolutely build your own hydroponic system. You can build your own bucket or NFT system. American Hydroponics has all those different components that you can get. As few or as many as you want. You can get the channels, the table frames, reservoirs, propagation systems, and we actually specialize in customizing systems that fit your needs. So feel free to contact any of us and we can help you with that.
Okay, so if we want to build our own system, we can call American Hydroponics. They can help out with that. Kind of along with that, Lorelei, is there anything that's an all-in-one package, anything like that, that would be a little bit more easily done?
Yeah, so one of the really great products that we have are the Get Growing bundles. That's an all-in-one turnkey system. That's really great for people who are new to the industry, who don't really know necessarily everything that would go into your grow operation. So that has everything that you need. It has the greenhouse, it has the grow system, the propagation system that you need, environmental controls, dosing, literally everything. We've taken all of our experience, over 100 years of growing experience, looked at every detail of this and made sure that everything fits together and will work for you guys when you're growing. Another really great aspect of it is the grower support that comes with all of our Get Growing bundles. It's a 1-year Get Grower support, and what that is It basically says, we know that you are going to have questions. You're going to have a lot of questions, and that's completely understandable. Feel free to contact us whenever. We're all here for you. We want you to know that we will help you really with anything, because we want you to be successful. It's really important to us that our growers are successful.
Okay, thank you, Lorelei. Joe, here's a question. Somebody asked, how often should you change your reservoir nutrient water, and what do you do with that nutrient water?
Well, in a recirculating system, we want to use the nutrient solution as long as possible. Obviously, the quality of the source water, so every individual application, the components of that system, different ions such as sodium or potassium or magnesium in the existing water, is going to impact your ability to run the nutrient solution a long time. So we have to look very closely at a growing operation at their source water, and that's going to help us determine how often, if at all, the nutrient solution needs to be changed out. We here on the East Coast, we take our nutrient solution and we actually run it into a tank, and we use it on our field crops, and we also use it for landscape plantings. We have a number of growers all across North America who use the nutrient solution for field agriculture applications or to sell or give away to landscapers, schools, any application where you're applying an outdoor fertilizer. It's a very nutrient-rich solution, so it works very, very well for them.
Great, thank you, Joe. Very good information. Here's another one along with the nutrient, staying with the reservoir, the nutrient water. Rudy, what is the optimal temperature of the reservoir water, and what can be too high, and is there a temperature that's too low?
Right, yeah, so ideally 70 degrees, so 68 to 73 is really a good spot to be. You can go up to about 83, 85 before you start having issues. If it gets that hot, you probably want to introduce more venturis or more oxygen. Otherwise, you'll get some pathogens, and that's not good. The coldest, I mean, 60 degrees and lower, you start seeing slow growth. Basically, it's just too cold. So if it gets that cold, obviously you need a water heater. You can get some nice commercial ones. Innovative Heat Concept, that's one guy you can contact. They're out in Florida. It's not cheap, but definitely keep your water where it needs to be.
Okay. Jenny, somebody asked, can a small hydroponic farm be financially viable?
Sure. There's obviously a sweet spot in the size of the farm, depending on what you want to do. Well, let me take a step back and say, if you can sell, if you have a market, because really these systems here, super productive. And so you can have a system like this and produce, this produces 2,500 plants every week, this one we're sitting in right here. But if you don't have a market for that, you're going to go under pretty quick. So really what's most important is that you study your market, you understand your market and what your market needs are to be able to sell. Generally, we recommend when putting together your budget, using about $1.50 per head. So using that's a pretty average across the country what anyone can get on a wholesale price for each plant they produce. And with that, then you can determine what size makes sense for you based on your market. But what we say is on a 30 by 48, if you're trying to kind of make a living on that, that's about the smallest if you want to work full time and make a living. A 30 by 48 that produces just over 1,000 head a week. But if you're looking to go to your farmer's market and supplement that way, or you just want to maybe sell to a local grocery store or something like that, yeah, absolutely. It can be a pretty profitable system depending on what your market needs are. So that's one of the first questions we would ask when someone called up and asked this kind of thing, is what's your market need? We go with small systems for maybe a farmer's market all the way up to 10 or 15 acres, which obviously the input costs of that one and the capital costs of that one are tremendous, but the profit on something like that with that kind of market is also tremendous. Something like that could net you, it might cost you $2.5 million an acre to put together something like that, but then you're also netting on a multi-acre one a considerable amount as well, and you're employing a lot of people doing it, so that's also a good thing.
Good. So hydroponics is scalable from a small system to a very large.
Yep, we
good.
do it all.
Very good. Good to know. Here's a question on fertilizers. Lorelei, you deal with fertilizers quite a bit. Do you use the same fertilizer for all plants or different fertilizers for different plants?
So yeah, we have American Hydroponics. We have lots of different nutrients. We do have some that are crop specific because different plants require different ECs, different NPKs. So you wouldn't want to grow peppers and lettuce on the same nutrient. You would need different nutrients. So we have a pepper, a cucumber, tomato, lettuce. We have a Tasman Bay, which is herbs, culinary herbs. But then we also have a Grow Magnon and a Big Bang Bloom. The Grow Magnon is kind of an overarching one, which you can use for if you're using multiple crops. That's what we use in our greenhouse, actually, our R&D greenhouse. So those come in two different sizes, the 8 kg and the 20 kg, and those are both A and B nutrients.
Okay, thank you very much. So all different nutrients for all different plant needs. Okay, here's another question that came in. Joe, I'm going to ask you this. What toxicity or deficiency would make leaves curl down? It's kind of general. I don't know if that's enough information, but
Sure.
Give it a shot.
Well, downward curling of leaves without any discoloration probably indicates more an environmental issue. But unfortunately, it's in one of the difficulties in diagnosing plants by visual symptoms alone is you have to look at a lot of the factors. For fruiting crops like tomatoes, generally that downward curl could be indicative of temperature or relative humidity issues. If there's some discoloration, downward curl could be related to either a potassium excess, which then would alter the availability of other elements like sulfur and magnesium, or it could be a deficiency in certain products. So we really need more information to make a proper diagnosis, but usually with symptoms like that, without discoloration, it's usually an environmental issue. That's where we kind of want to look first.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, Joe, that the plants will tell us what they need or what is they're not getting enough of, something like that. The plants will usually let us know.
Yeah, as soon as we see unusual symptoms, we want to start looking very carefully at what the environment is, what the root situation is, what the roots look like, what the nutrient solution composition is, pH, electrical connectivity, all of that. And if we can't make an initial diagnosis based on that, we need to dig further. We need to do a nutrient analysis of the plant tissue as well as of the nutrient solution. And usually once we get to that point, we have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Here's another question that just came in. Jenny, what are the most profitable crops to sell to restaurants?
Oh, good question. So we have really, the best one is to go to your chefs and ask them what do they want. But super popular is basil. It's also really easy to grow, and to have fresh basil in the middle of winter, every chef would die for. The other thing that's really great about hydroponics is, if I had one around here, I would show you, you can give it to the chefs with the roots on, and so chefs love that because it's a living plant, regardless of what you grow. But some of the things we grow are arugula. Chefs love our arugula. Whether you cut a baby arugula, which is, maybe 3 inches high, something like that, or whether you let it grow to maybe 5 or 6 inches high to a full-grown arugula, it's super tasty. Chefs love that. We always sell out of that. Watercress is another one, and the reason watercress and arugula are so profitable is because you can grow them super dense in our nursery channel, so you can get a lot more plants per inch in our nursery channel, as opposed to like a lettuce or basil that you can get. They have to have an 8-inch center to center to grow to be able to fully form. So arugula, watercress, basil. Another one of my favorite ones the chef introduced us to and we grow now is cutting celery. It's a smaller, kind of looks about the size of a parsley plant. Again, parsley and cilantro, but probably our most profitable is arugula, watercress, basil, and cutting celery.
Good, very good. Every chef loves fresh herbs and vegetables. Rudy, here's a more specific question. This farmer asks, or says, some of my tomatoes have blossom end rot. How do I prevent this? How do I correct this? Blossom end rot.
All right. Well, basically, there's no calcium getting to the growing tips, so it's and it also could be the too much moisture in the air. So you can try to lower the EC, water a little bit more. You could, obviously get the humidity and temperature set right, and I think that should fix it up. We also, there's supplements out there. We have one that's chelated the calcium for you pretty instantly. So it's called Dark Energy. If you're curious, it works pretty well. So I would try that maybe.
Okay. So some of the problems with our plants, we can handle that by changing the environment or adding an additive to the nutrient.
Right.
Okay. Here's a question that just came in. Joe, what does magnesium deficiency look like in watercress and lettuce?
Okay, in vegetative crops like watercress, culinary herbs, lettuce, green, anything that you're growing for the actual leaf and plant tissue. Generally speaking, because magnesium is a mobile element, you'll see symptoms on the oldest leaves first, at the bottom of the plant. And what magnesium is classically known for is it shows what's called interveinal chlorosis. So basically the leaves will turn yellowish, but the veins in the leaf will stay dark green. So if the leaf turns uniformly yellow, that's one issue. But if it turns yellowish or lightens up and the veins stay dark green, giving a mottled appearance, that's magnesium.
Okay, very good. A little more specific question. Jenny, let's come back to you. What type of water do the farmers typically use? City water, municipal water, or well water? And if well water, do you need to filter it before you add it to the reservoir?
Great question. Actually, you need to check before any of our customers ever start. We always have them do a water analysis. And even people who aren't our customers come to us and have them do a water analysis. And what that does is you take a sample of your water and you send you the whole kit of wherever your source water is coming from, regardless of whether it's coming from a well or municipal water or any other kind. Maybe you have an RO system. But the source water that is going to feed your plants, then we send it to a lab and we have an analysis done that comes back and tells us exactly what's in that water. And there are times when we can then make recommendations to treat that water. So the source that's best to use for your system is the source you have most available. So we do have plenty of farmers who use well water and they use it. Some of them have an RO system and some of them don't need an RO system, but you won't know that until you do a water analysis. That'll be your first step if you're thinking about putting in a hydroponic system, is to get a water analysis done and see what your water looks like.
Good. All right. So we can use the water we've got, one way or the other.
Possibly.
Okay. Hey, Joe, somebody's asking a question about aphids in watercress. What's the best way to control them?
Well, the best way, obviously, is to do what we can to limit the introduction of aphids, obviously. But once we have them, and we will get them eventually, different predators and parasites. If you're going for chemical-free control, which most of our growers do, we use different parasites and predators. A predator that would go in there to eat the aphids, such as ladybugs. Parasites such as Aphidoletes or Aphidius, which are small wasps that you can bring in. Those will come and they will attack the aphids and help lower the population. You always, with biologicals, you want to introduce biologicals at an early stage and keep that healthy balance, because it's not unlike a pesticide where you can just go in and spray and try to kill some type of infestation. What you really are trying to do in this, create this natural ecosystem where you're trying to bring in other insects to battle the bad bugs, if you will. So each different insect has different pests. There are a number of biological supply companies that will provide these different insects, beneficial insects for you. We can advise on that. So people call us or email us all the time, and we can make recommendations.
Okay, here's a question. I'm not sure who to address it to. What type of acid is typically used to control the pH? Is there a specific type of acid that is controlled? Rudy?
Yeah, we recommend use phosphoric acid.
Phosphoric acid?
It's basically because it's food grade, and where they make it, they regulate it pretty heavily, so it's going to be consistent. Like, say you're going to use that battery acid, it's not food grade, so doubt they're going to check it as frequent as they should. So you might get some bad batches that might wipe your whole scene out.
Okay, so a food grade phosphoric acid. to control pH. Very good. Here, let's see. Oh, here's a very specific, very technical question. In calcium magnesium supplement, what's a good calcium to magnesium ratio? Calcium to magnesium ratio. Joe, you got that?
Yep. Okay. So ideally, a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio for calcium to magnesium is a good starting point. However, in most cases, calcium and magnesium supplementation is not required. What you have to really do is look at the nutrient formulation that you're using. Most base nutrient formulations have more than adequate calcium and magnesium. If there's a problem with calcium or magnesium uptake, that's usually an environmental issue. Again, kind of like the nutritional disorders we talked about with visual symptoms, we have to stop and take a look. If we're having a problem with calcium and magnesium or calcium or magnesium, we have to kind of look back at the environment and the nutritional conditions at the time, and we can go from there. So there are calcium and CalMag supplements that we can use, but by and large, if there's an issue with them, it's indicative of another issue. So we need to tackle that first, and then from there we can go.
Okay, very good. Good answer for a technical question. Here's a question. In southern Florida or other hot climates, is there anything you shouldn't grow in southern Florida? Are there ways to beat the heat and the humidity? Joe, go ahead.
Okay, well, basically we can grow anything. It's only a matter of controlling the environment. So really the market conditions and market demand is going to dictate what you should or should not grow. It's all about managing the real estate and economics. So if there is a strong market demand for a specific product, all you have to do is set up your growing system in your greenhouse to provide the appropriate growing conditions. So really, we don't like to tell growers that you should or should not grow a certain crop in a given area in most instances. So what we need to just look at is making sure that we're providing the correct environment and the correct nutritional support to provide the crops that are in strong demand in that area.
Good, thanks, Joe. Hey, following up, someone's following up on the aphid question. They said, is there any good organic chemical control of aphids? Instead of introducing ladybugs or lacewings or whatever, is there a good organic chemical control for aphids?
Yeah, sure. There's a number of growth regulators. Botanigard is a common biological, and I believe Molt X is the organic or OMRI certified version of that. So basically, it's a naturally occurring bacteria that affects soft-bodied insects like aphids. So once it comes in contact with the body of the insect, it either inhibits the growth of that insect or kills the insect with a non-chemical action. So I would advise anybody to either call us or get in touch with us when you look online, making sure that something has the OMRI, OMRI certification. That will then be something that's appropriate for organic production.
Okay, and kind of going right along with that question, somebody asked, when using biologicals, is there any concern of filth or defecation from the good bugs that you introduce?
Absolutely not.
Don't worry about that?
Yeah, we're always worried about maintaining a healthy balance, so we don't have an excess of any insects. So no, there's never been an issue.
Okay. Yeah, I tell you what. One last question. Is there an organic fertilizer out there that can be used to consider it organic growing? Is there a certified organic fertilizer? Jenny?
So, organics and hydroponics are a big, big question right now. There is an organic fertilizer out there. However, it's fairly inconsistent in its manufacturing, and because it's biological, there's not a lot of consistency from batch to batch. So you could be growing fine, and if you have a great, a nice commercial system like this and everything is going fine, and you order more nutrient and you get that batch in and it's a bad batch of nutrient, it's going to kill everything in your system. So right now, we do not feel that there is a stable hydroponic organic nutrient right now, but a lot of people are working on it to come up with something that can be certified organic. There are a few of them out there, but as I said, we've experimented and we've R&D'd a lot of them, and for several years at a time, and just don't feel that the stability is there so that we can pass this off to our commercial growers. So I guess what I'm kind of saying is buyer beware. If you see one out there, try it for a long time on a small system before introducing it into your commercial system.
Okay, very good. That was Ask the Expert. There were quite a few questions we didn't get to this afternoon, but I want to encourage you to continue to ask your questions. You can simply write in to info@amhydro.com, and I think there's a slide coming up. Well, you see it, Joe? And there's a slide coming up. We've got a couple of webinar specials coming up as well. And I also want to tell you about our next webinar. Our next webinar is going to be talking about the different variety or different ways to seed your hydroponic farm, whether it's NFT, using a prop system, using slabs or beto buckets for vine crops, something like that. So we will talk about that on June 15th. I believe that's June 15th. We also have our exclusive deal. Everybody that is interested in coming to our August 3rd and 4th seminar, it's going to be here in Northern California. If you sign up and pay before the end of May, we will throw in free lodging and 2 nights lodging for every guest, every paid guest. That's 1 room for 2 nights. Breakfast is included both of those times. So you'll want to take advantage of that. Sign up and pay before the end of the month. You see the code right there on the screen, and this will be available. This will be sent to you as well. This code will be sent to you as well. Like I said, their next webinar is Thursday, June 15th, seeding your hydroponic systems. And so you'll want to, that's at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and you'll want to tune in for that. All right, keep asking your questions because AmHydro wants you to succeed. We aren't just in this to sell stuff. We are in here to partner with you and make you a hydroponic success. Okay, well, let's finish it there. Nobody's going to whistle us off. So, all right, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time at American Hydroponics webinar.